So I'm Sayani Chattopadhyay. I'm with CITGO Lubricants, which is a subsidiary business for the overall company, which is on the refinery side. I'm the head of supply chain and operations, a pretty newish function, I would say, for the lubricants business and the first for CITGO as a company. And Reveal has been a part of this journey from day one. CITGO Lubricants is one of the premier suppliers of finished lubricants and greases in the United States. We compete with other major suppliers in the area as well as the ILMAs. So everything that you can think of in terms of your car oil change to truck oil change, as well as greases that go into major industrial plants to pellet mills. We have a very volatile market and an ever-changing customer base who expect the same level of service in terms of supply, irrespective of where the market is, how we are doing, etc. So that's where there was a big gap in planning. We were literally firefighting day to day, trying to meet demand with supply and not really planning for the next day or the next week or the next month. It was a huge gap given my previous experience that was concerning, but at the same time, the timing was right where we had put in the efforts to bring in supply chain, go into a more planned activity, bring in managing by exception, something that was really well put by Reveal, I would say. I had the thought, the idea, and the vision, but I don't think I've heard anybody before Reveal use the word managed by exception as well as I heard it. The inventory impact was probably the most critical benefit that I saw out of this transformation in tangible terms. With respect to how much better we are at either bringing in material or getting material out of the door, it is such a stark difference, and I cannot believe that we got to a 46% inventory reduction or a 56% turns increase in the time we've had with Reveal. And that was while we were learning, while we were transforming, and while we were applying. So with respect to the inventory turns, because it's so dependent on our market condition, we ended up overstocking our finished goods, and we had not been really tracking our turns, but we knew that we started from a very low baseline. That's because we had way too much inventory, and it would look a little good when the market was up, but not nearly as enough of what the true picture was. We had a true picture of what our inventory turn could be, and that had crept up because of the work we had done as part of the transformation. Today, if there are movements in that inventory turn in the last 3 or 4 months, we can pinpoint it down to whether it's the value chain or a market-driven situation, or is it a gap that's missing on the supply chain inside where we can fix something to make it look better. So even in a year that has been as slow as this for our market, we have been able to show efficiency by the inventory turns, the improvement in 56% freed up capital that we were not only able to reinvest in our business, but also dedicate towards things that were vital for moving our value chain forward. So it was a win-win across the board. So we tackled our inventory issues by piling on. We had way too many warehouses stocked up with goods that were either slow moving or things that didn't move at the right time or were not the ones we needed for the customers. We're in the lubricants, oil and grease business, a lot of seasonality is involved as well. So summers, we'll see a peak in certain products that are in high demand. Winter, it's different. But we were stocking up on materials irrespective of seasonality, irrespective of the customer, because we wanted to be prepared. CITGO is well known for its customer service, which we didn't want to fall back on it. So we definitely were overstocked. But were we overstocked in the right products? That's the big question. We were probably overstocked in everything and sometimes falling short in things we needed. It was highly spreadsheet dependent and highly people dependent as well. We had very unique spreadsheets developed by an individual sitting in a location that only he or she was capable of manipulating or changing or massaging if the circumstances changed, which means if that individual was on vacation or if that spreadsheet went missing, there was risk to our business. I feel not having a consistent system, something that was reliable, something that didn't need changing with the market, but needed changing or would adapt to how the business was flowing automatically, was a big need that was identified but not really addressed in previous years. People were extremely stressed. They were used to doing it for so long, they didn't know any other way. They were used to living in that constant state of overworking or touching every single order, every single invoice, every single requisition that was in there. And it was so bad that they didn't even realize that there is another way of doing this. Or if I think of the management, the supervisor level, the ones that I depend on for building the strategy, what's next, how do we do this better, they were focused so very much in the weeds because they didn't have time to do anything else. It was unbelievable. How do we get people to trust the newness that comes with Reveal, the newness that comes with a transformation, and a transformation of this scale where we are literally putting in a discipline, function, and new processes across the board. Teams were used to working in silos, not by choice, but just because there wasn't a common thread running through the different parts of supply chain. So we are doing exception management across all areas. So whether it's in our purchase to pay option or our production planning space or even our customer experience / customer service. That helps us, from a very basic standpoint, identify true areas that need the human touch, needs the attention. It also directs it to the correct levels within a team. Does it need the foot soldier? Does it need the middle management? Or does it need the higher management to step in and address the issue? That was not an option. It was either everybody doing at every level trying to fix a problem or nobody really fixing it. That changed. The other piece that I feel that exception management has helped us with is where supervisors are taking a more strategic role. They're using those exceptions to identify not just issues, but also areas of growth, areas of improvement, and what can we do next year? What can we do 6 months from now? That was not a luxury that was available to us when we were trying to do everything, particularly at a management level. So supervisors who report to me have more time to actually focus on strategic needs of the business rather than get into the weeds and try to fix a PO number. So the biggest benefits of managing by exception has definitely been visibility, and as well as freeing up time for people at the right levels to focus on the jobs that they need to do. At the plant level, we run very lean and mean as a company. So what was accomplished in that 1 hour would previously probably take 7 to 14 days over emails, back and forth, spreadsheets, and then a few different balls dropped in the process. That was a huge change. I think education was the core of why this transformation was successful. And I think because education was running concurrently to application, which was a really good way of structuring it at that point, they were also seeing the results. It wasn't just about learning it and sitting it in an exam. They were learning and applying in alternate weeks, which really helped them see the results. And every time they saw a result, they were inspired to go back, learn more, and apply it again. And then they By the final stages, they were coming up with ideas of their own. I remember after the graphical planning board was introduced and set in place, more than a few people in our operations team would be like, can we do this also? And go to the advisors and say, can we make this change? Can we fit it to this line? But that's what education did. It made them inquisitive. It made them understand. It made them push that boundary forward. And we couldn't have done it otherwise. So the whole idea that Reveal introduced about fix it now, fix it today, or escalate, that concept is so revolutionary. It seems trivial, but it's not. Because if I can't solve it, who are my next peers who can solve it right now? But do I have to wait for an email back and forth and then find I'm talking to the wrong person? Or is it better that all of us get into a room and hash it out in the next 15 minutes? And then if I can't do it, escalate it to my supervisor level, where it's not just my supervisor, but he or she and her peers, and they can do the same and find a solution for us. And if it's really not solvable or needs an approval above that, let's escalate it to the senior management. While it works in many different companies in concept, this is the first time I've seen it as structured and introduced the way it was, where it was absorbed and put into play as part of a transformation. And I want to say very successfully. So this transformation has truly been the foundational stone for setting up supply chain in not just CITGO Lubricants, but for CITGO as a company. This is a first. It has sparked ideas and strategies from every different level of the organization about how this could bloom into something much bigger, help how we go to market, because earlier it wasn't planned. It's helping with even sales and marketing strategies, and it's bi-directional there. It's helping us be more efficient with our capital. It's helping us be more effective with the resources which we have. It's helping us understand what we would like to do next. We know that the team will now be focused on managing by exception. So they will not be spending time trying to correct PO numbers. They can actually work on projects like this, actually work on pushing the business forward. So we are a lot more strategic today than we were a year before. If I were to do this again, yes, I would do this again. And I would highly recommend being cognizant of the change management that comes in that first few months. But I would do it again for just how much benefits lie at the end of it. Just trusting the process, trusting that it will work out, no matter how hard it seems. My level of trust in Reveal when I started out was 50-50. Not because Reveal was different. It was a big transformation. Today, standing here, I can say it is more than 100. I would say it's 110 if it was up to me. Again, because they didn't bring me a system. They brought me a people, process, and system combination where we could transform the business. I would highly recommend Reveal to other companies. I would say this has been the most, for lack of a better word, transformative one for myself. It was a personal as well as a team transformation in how to approach such major incorporations and changes within an organization, and Reveal was a true partner in the journey. They took neither a backseat nor an overarching thou shalt do it approach. They were truly a partner. Let's do it together. Let's achieve this together attitude, which I think inspired the teams at all levels.